Well, who are you hanging out with? Are you hanging out with Diddy? What are you doing?
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I used to follow Diddy back in the day when Diddy, we couldn't get into our own clubs in LA. And I know this story don't make sense.
Sure, he famously threw his white party.
I went to Philly, followed him all the way to Philly. He threw a party, and he said, yo, Playboy, this party costs $1.5 million.
To throw.
I'm like, you are out of your mind.
It seems like the drama surrounding Diddy is escalating to a whole new level, as both Andre 3000 and Jamie Foxx have set the internet ablaze by finally speaking out about the disturbing things they witnessed at Diddy's infamous parties. Allegedly, these events pushed them to take part in some shocking activities, without their full consent. Rumor has it that these parties were more than just wild gatherings. They were said to be part of some kind of ritual initiation into the industry. Andre 3000, one of the biggest artists of the 2000s, famously walked away from Hollywood at the height of his career and never looked back. Many people believe his decision to step away had something to do with what he was allegedly forced to experience during his time in the industry. Jamie Foxx reportedly faced similar circumstances, with claims circulating that Diddy even tried to kill Jamie to stop him from exposing what went on at these parties. People began questioning Jamie Foxx's relationship with Diddy when Jamie was suddenly hospitalized due to a mysterious medical emergency. His family kept the details under tight wraps, and for a while, no one knew if Jamie would pull through or if his condition would take a tragic turn. After his recovery, Jamie opened up about the ordeal, revealing just how traumatic the experience had been for him. He even described it as going to hell and back. In a heartfelt message to his fans, Jamie said, "I cannot even begin to tell you how far it took me and how it brought me back. I went through something that I thought I would never, ever go through. And I know a lot of people were waiting, wanting to hear updates. But to be honest with you, I just didn't want you to see me like that. You know, I want you to see me laughing, having a good time now." Jamie addressed the rumors that had swirled about his health during his absence. "By being quiet, sometimes things get out of hand," he explained. "People were saying all kinds of stuff. Some said I was blind, but as you can see, my eyes are working just fine. Others claimed I was paralyzed. I'm not paralyzed, but I did go through it. I went to hell and back." His emotional recount continued, and Jamie let his fans know that the journey left a lasting mark on him. "If you see me out and I just burst into tears, it's because it's been tough, man. I was really sick, but now I've got my legs under me again. So you're going to see me out and about." Jamie ended on a hopeful note, wanting fans to remember the good times. "I just want you to think of me for the jokes I crack, the movies I make. Some of them are good, some of them may, but I think I've got a good one out. And of course, for the songs I sing." Jamie Foxx's health scare became even more suspicious after he addressed wild rumors, including claims that he had been replaced by a clone. In a candid video following his recovery, Jamie got visibly emotional, hinting at things he seemed to hold back from saying outright. His tone suggested that there were deeper issues at play, ones he wasn't ready to reveal for fear of getting into further trouble. On top of this, many people believe that Diddy had a hand in Jamie's sudden illness. For those unfamiliar with the rumors, Jamie was allegedly a regular attendee at Diddy's infamous freak-off parties. These gatherings, shrouded in secrecy, were reportedly wild, ritualistic events held at Diddy's mansions. Word about Jamie's involvement surfaced when an old interview resurfaced and went viral on social media. In that interview, Jamie shared a shocking story about the time he was invited to one of Diddy's parties and was met with scenes straight out of a hedonistic fantasy. Jamie recounted his experience in vivid detail, saying that when he arrived at the party, he was greeted by a scene of chaos, a pool party with naked people indulging in all kinds of activities. "It was crazy," Jamie recalled. "You can imagine everything you've heard about these parties and more. People were just going wild, and Diddy's famous toy was there too. A mix of different substances designed to keep the party going for hours so no one would get tired." He also told a strange but memorable story about following Diddy around and watching him interact with the crowd. One moment in particular stood out. "I remember watching Puff at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I was filming him the whole time, and it was a ridiculous pool party. And out of nowhere I look up, and there's Dr. Ruth, the famous sex therapist. I couldn't believe it. I went up to her and said, 'Miss Ruth, you've got to meet this guy, Sean P. Diddy. I need this for my camera.' Next thing I know, Dr. Ruth and Puff are at this wild pool party, dancing and doing their thing. It was surreal." In a wild twist, Jamie Foxx revealed even more about the infamous Diddy parties, shedding light on some bizarre and unsettling details. He mentioned a moment where, off in the corner, Diddy and a couple of industry heavyweights, Heavy D and Andre Harrell, were casually listening to a demo while all sorts of wild activities were going on around them. But what really stood out was Jamie's reference to Diddy's notorious party cocktail, a mix of substances known to fuel these freak-off events. This cocktail, referred to as Tootsie, has become infamous, and Jamie wasn't the only one talking about it. Recently, Jaguar Wright, a musician known for exposing the dark side of the entertainment industry, spoke up about what really goes down at these parties and gave everyone a rundown on how Tootsie works. According to her, Tootsie is what they call a toy, and she explained its effects in great detail. Jaguar went on to say that she spoke with insiders to understand what it was. Some people called it Tootsie, while others called it Dooney. But after talking to her sources, she learned that it was essentially a concoction mixed with substances like Special K, a street name for ketamine. Jaguar broke down exactly how this cocktail works. She described how partygoers would take C, Special K, a horse tranquilizer that's popular in the rave and underground gay party scenes. This drug, known for its numbing effects, would keep people awake and detached for hours. However, it also came with a downside. C could cause erectile dysfunction by messing with blood flow, hence the need for Viagra to counteract the limp effects. Jaguar Wright explained how the drug cocktail, known as Tootsie, is a dangerous mix designed to keep people numb and detached while enhancing their physical experiences. According to Jaguar, this drug would leave you so relaxed that, in her words, you could get fucked by 80-ton gorillas and wouldn't feel a thing. But since Special K also causes erectile dysfunction by relaxing muscles too much, partygoers would add Viagra to the mix, ensuring they could still physically perform. Jaguar went on to explain that Tootsie also includes a pink powder, which, according to her sources, is colored with food dye to give it its distinctive look. She even joked that they might have gotten the idea from Breaking Bad, where meth was given a signature color. Jamie Foxx, in another interview, hinted at the exclusivity of these wild parties. He explained that you couldn't just walk into one of Diddy's gatherings, you had to be personally invited. Jamie, wanting to get in, found a clever way around this by pretending to be a cameraman, offering to document the party for Diddy. But what made things even more concerning was Jamie's admission that Diddy would film these parties, and as many people have suspected, he kept the footage as a form of leverage over those who attended. This aligns with claims made by Diddy's ex, Cassie, in her lawsuit, where she stated that Diddy used to record these parties to hold the footage over the heads of his guests. However, it wasn't just Diddy who was recording. Jamie hinted that Diddy had a whole crew paid to capture these events on camera, with Jamie himself being one of the people documenting the craziness. In Jamie's words, he approached Diddy with a camera saying, "Yo, you gotta let me film this. We need to document the whole thing." While Jamie Foxx faced a life-threatening medical crisis, Andre 3000 had a different but equally distressing experience in his encounters with Diddy and the darker side of the music industry. Although he didn't end up hospitalized, the things he witnessed at these infamous parties forced him to walk away from his rap career at the height of his success. Andre first began to hint at the sinister side of fame during an eye-opening interview with GQ, where he shared, "The problem with being successful is you can do whatever you do times 10 and no one to stop you. You can easily go down the wrong path and you get into that place. And the thing that brings you out is other people. Around the time of his GQ interview, whispers started to circulate about what Andre had experienced at Diddy's notorious parties. Rumors indicated that the shocking things he witnessed made him realize the music industry was not the right environment for him. He recognized that he couldn't participate in the lifestyle that surrounded these events, prompting him to quietly exit the scene. His decision to step back seemed to resonate with fans and fellow artists alike, leaving many curious about what could have led to such a dramatic change. One social media user captured the intrigue perfectly, asking, "I still need to know what he saw when he walked into the room at that Hollywood party that made him leave the industry." The speculation only intensified, with another comment humorously suggesting, "Maybe TD Jakes getting bottomed is the reason Andre 3000 left the music industry that night he went to the private party." The unsettling truth about the Hollywood scene has been hinted at for years, and one of the earliest voices to expose it was Cat Williams during a comedy special in 2004. In this performance, he recounted being coerced into attending a freak-off party that left him horrified. Cat described his experience with vivid imagery, recalling the shock and disgust he felt upon arriving at the event. As soon as he realized what was happening, he wasted no time in leaving. What adds an intriguing layer to this story is that Andre 3000 was in the audience that night. You could see Cat looking directly in Andre's direction as he shared his account. Andre was visibly amused, laughing along with the audience, but many speculate that he and Cat had a private conversation before the show. It seems that Cat may have decided to incorporate this sensitive topic into his routine, using humor as a means to draw attention to the troubling dynamics unfolding in Hollywood. Cat's vivid recollection paints a picture of a mansion party that was more than just a gathering. "Gay in Hollywood? You never expected they'd be having these big mansion parties," he quipped. He described how the entire mansion could be a party zone, with separate, secretive festivities happening behind closed doors. Cat humorously reflected on the thrill of being invited to such an event, noting the confusion and discomfort that could arise when someone inadvertently walked into the wrong room. "You be looking at all the goddamn rooms and you find and look in the wrong room. And come here, CH. It's getting real creepy out here." Both Jamie Foxx and Andre 3000 have witnessed profoundly disturbing realities within the industry, which undoubtedly contributes to their current dispositions and public personas. The cracks in Hollywood's glamorous facade are beginning to widen, suggesting that many more individuals may soon come forward to share their own experiences of the unsettling events that have long taken place behind closed doors. Reactions to these revelations have been varied. One fan expressed their admiration for Andre, stating, "I love Andre, and I knew something happened. I am blown away as to how big this whole thing really is, how widespread this all is. Scary." Another viewer lamented the toll that fame can take, pondering, "OMG, is it worth going through all this? Lives are ruined. I can't understand why, when you make it big, you wouldn't help make the world a better place for people who need help with no strings, helping people just out of decency." Now, let's dive into the latest updates regarding Sean Diddy Combs as his defense team pushes for a speedy trial in his ongoing trafficking case. It can be challenging to keep up with everything happening in this complex situation, so we want to provide you with some key updates to get you up to speed. The 54-year-old music mogul is currently locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, waiting for his trial on serious charges, including federal sex crimes, racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transporting individuals for prostitution. Prosecutors from the Southern District of New York allege that Combs leveraged his vast business empire, resources, and associates to lead a criminal enterprise involved in a range of illegal activities. These include arson, bribery, kidnapping, assault, and sex trafficking. The allegations suggest that these activities have been ongoing for years. Specifically, they claim he organized events called freak-offs, where male sex workers were brought in for elaborate sexual performances that participants were allegedly forced, threatened, or coerced into joining. Some of the most serious allegations even involve claims that he drugged individuals and recorded these sessions. So, when will this trial actually take place? At a recent status hearing, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and the newly assigned judge, the Honorable Arun Subaran, set a trial date for May 5, 2025. Of course, this date could change for various reasons, but it seems the defense is eager to move things along. Initially, many believed the trial wouldn't happen until late 2025 or even into 2026. However, it looks like Combs wants a quick resolution, possibly because he's anxious to get out of jail. He's currently appealing a bail denial, which we'll touch on shortly. His legal team might be thinking that if they can get him to trial sooner, there's a chance he could be acquitted and finally put this behind him. We certainly don't want him stuck behind bars for another year or two while waiting for the trial. However, there are factors that could delay this timeline. If Combs faces new charges, or if a superseding indictment is brought, meaning prosecutors might present new evidence to the grand jury for additional charges, that could push the trial back. Any new or upgraded charges would require further discovery, evidence sharing, and potentially more motions, which would complicate the schedule and likely alter that May 5, 2025 date. During that hearing, we learned that this situation isn't as far-fetched as it may seem. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson informed the court that the investigation is still active and that there's a chance of a superseding indictment. So why might that happen? As they continue their investigation, analyzing digital and physical evidence and speaking with additional witnesses, including potentially new individuals who have come forward, prosecutors may find probable cause to believe that Combs has committed more crimes. Interestingly, during the hearing, prosecutors stated that their current case would take about 3 weeks to present, while the defense indicated they would need just 1 week. This discrepancy suggests that if additional charges do come into play, the timeline could shift. For now, the defense seems focused on cross-examining the government's witnesses rather than calling many of their own. It's possible that the defense might bring in these alleged male sex workers to testify that the so-called freak-offs were consensual, insisting that no one was pressured or threatened to participate. This idea of everything being consensual appears to be a central theme for the defense, especially when considering Victim 1 mentioned in the indictment. While not explicitly named, many believe this victim is Cassandra Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend, who has previously accused him in a separate lawsuit of physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. In the criminal indictment, prosecutors allege that he trafficked Victim 1 through force, fraud, or coercion, meaning he forced her to engage in commercial sex acts. If she is indeed the government's star witness, it seems logical that Combs' defense attorneys would dedicate a significant amount of time to cross-examining her, arguing that everything was consensual and that she agreed to participate willingly. Speaking of timelines, while the government claims their case will take 3 weeks to present, that doesn't necessarily include the time for the defense to cross-examine their witnesses. For instance, how long would the cross-examination of Cassandra Ventura take? Would it be a few hours, or possibly even an entire day? Additionally, Combs' defense attorney has hinted that he might take the stand himself. If that happens, how long would his cross-examination last? It could easily take up a good portion of the week, so even though we're estimating a 4-week trial, it's likely to stretch out a bit longer than that. There was another significant update discussed during the hearing. The defense's claim that the government has engaged in misconduct. In a filing submitted last week, Combs' defense team accused the government, specifically the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, of leaking sensitive information and making inappropriate comments to the media. The defense is now requesting an evidentiary hearing to investigate these allegations. They specifically claimed that DHS agents leaked the controversial 2016 video showing Combs allegedly assaulting Cassandra Ventura in a hotel hallway, which CNN published in May 2024. This leak reportedly followed the raids on his properties by Homeland Security prior to his arrest. In their filing, Combs' defense stated, "The available evidence makes a prima facie showing that the government, primarily through DHS, has engaged in a 7-month campaign with 3 objectives. First, to prevent Mr. Combs from receiving fair consideration by the grand jury. Second, to deny him a fair trial. And third, to strategically leak confidential grand jury materials, including the 2016 Intercontinental videotape, to prejudice the public and potential jurors against Mr. Combs." There's another important update in this case that wasn't discussed during the hearing, and it's happening in a different court. Sean Combs has appealed the denial of his bail to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. As you might recall, 2 different judges have already refused to grant him pretrial release. They cited the seriousness of the allegations, the strength of the evidence, the potential danger he poses to society, the risk of flight, and claims that he had been improperly contacting witnesses and alleged victims as reasons for their decisions. Combs' attorney Alexandra Shapiro filed a motion for pretrial release with the Second Circuit last week. In her motion, she stated, "This case does involve extreme and unusual circumstances, but none that typically justify denying bail or require forcing Sean Combs to defend himself from a prison cell. What is particularly unusual about this case is that Mr. Combs was detained immediately after being charged, despite being in the public eye his entire life, with many of his actions widely reported and known to law enforcement. There's hardly a risk of flight. He is a 54-year-old father of 7, a U.S. citizen, an exceptionally successful artist, businessman, and philanthropist, and one of the most recognizable figures in the world. The sensationalism surrounding his arrest has distorted the bail analysis. Despite this, Mr. Combs was not released pending trial, even though he offered to comply with strict conditions that would eliminate any potential risk of flight or danger. He proposed a $50 million bail package, putting up his Miami home and his mother's home as collateral. He also promised to maintain constant contact with authorities, limit his communications to specific individuals, and submit visitor logs to the court, allowing only certain people to visit. Additionally, he suggested hiring a third-party security team to monitor his house while he was under home confinement. In conclusion, it seems that Sean Combs is facing serious consequences as he remains behind bars, potentially where he feels he belongs amid these troubling allegations. The developments in his case are ongoing, and the implications for his future are significant. What do you think about this situation? Do you believe he deserves to be held in jail pending trial, or should he be granted bail under strict conditions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this update informative, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on this unfolding story and other related news.